Welcome back to Vinyl Friday, where I go through my records and I talk about why I love them. This, my friends, my family of the internet, is episode 4 of our White Album Peregrination, which is a mini-series of sorts, sort of a mini-series, where I cover one song per month of the White Album, going through the album track by track as it appears on the record. So in that sense, it's not a mini-series so much as a macro-series, as I will literally be at this for years. Today's song is an elaborate extended prank on the Beatles' most conspiracy-minded fans. David Quantick, writing for Vinyl Frontier, calls it the world's first postmodern self-referential rock song, an answer record to a question no one but the most fanatical, maddest Beatles fans would have asked. Many thanks to the Storytime correspondent for lending me this fantastic book. It's super bright. Let's turn the brightness down just a touch, so I'm not blinding you all. That's better. All right, where were we? The song is Glass Onion. It sounds like this. I told you about strawberry fields. Now, before we jump into the episode, which we will very soon, postcards. I left them outside. Hang on. Here it is. And yes, I did put it on my shirt. To the uninitiated, I'm making a batch of lino-cut printed postcards, one to accompany each of the episodes, so each of the songs. This one is a glass onion featuring John Lennon's face, as you see. So if you'd like to purchase one of those and have me send you a small postcard from the bottom of the planet, I'll leave a link in the description for you. Okay, back to the song. In his attempt to dupe the band's extremists, John Lennon has created this Wonderland that is at once very Carrollian, which is a word, I double-checked it, and also the Beatles at their most distilled. Come, let's peer through the bent-back tulips together. Here's a bit of background. In 1966, the Beatles began to play with sounds in a way that they hadn't yet, and this resulted in things like musical sequences played in reverse. I go into a lot more detail about this on last year's track-by-track series on Revolver, which you can watch here. Anyway, rumors began to swirl among fans who were of the opinion that the secrets of the songs would reveal themselves if you played the record in a specific way, or be decoded by very deliberate and dedicated study. The Beatles themselves wrote all of this off and said that it wasn't that serious and that there was no secret meaning, but the fans would not be swayed, and in response, John Lennon wrote this song. It's filled with fake clues that are meant to reveal the band's secret messaging. And in this context, the song is hilarious. But before we jump into the lyrics, I would like to dig into an element of the song that is often overshadowed by the lyrics. This song also has a lot to offer musically, believe it or not. So here's how they construct the Wonderland. Glass Onion is a song that is immaculately arranged to disorient. And as such, as listeners, we're invited into a constructed world in which we are, in short order, flipped upside down. The beginning of the song feels quite straightforward. I told you about strawberry fields. Ringo on drums, and it's actually the first track on the album so far that Ringo has played on. Yay, Ringo's back. Paul on bass, we've got George doing this bratty little guitar part, John Lennon singing. It's what we're used to, and it sort of comes crashing in after the gentle finish of Dear Prudence. Let's listen to it in that context. Followed by... So that's our beginning. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. We are familiar with this. But John Lennon soon opens this door to a place you can go. And that line coincides with the music blossoming. It is like an invitation. We have added percussion. Well, here's another place you can go. And also this unearthly, slippery, sliding strings section. It makes us feel like we're being levitated into this place you can go, this place we can go, where everything flows. But it drops us again, and then it brings us back up, like this. And on the last ascending line, there's a high part that drops down. So one lifts as the other drops. Topsy-turvy. The timbre of the song from the point where the strings come in is also sort of unusual and unfamiliar, off-kilter, because the strings feel kind of prim and proper, but they are presented in this unconventional way and coupled with that trademark White Album caustic guitar tone. Ringo's also catching the syncopated offbeats, which make us feel like we're being tossed hither and thither. And now we're going to get the drum correspondent to tell us more about that. Do you have any thoughts on the matter, my friend?
Heyo team, it's me, your friendly neighborhood drum correspondent, and I am here to talk to you about the stabs that Ringo is playing going into the chorus. So in the rest of the song, he's playing something approximately like this, very straight. But at the chorus, he's picking up what the lyrics are doing, the looking through the bent back tulips to see how the other half lives, like this. And that, as a listener, makes you feel like you're being thrown back and forth. That's harder than it looks.
This upside down feeling, this up down dynamic continues into the next section, the looking through the bent back tulips, where there's this chromatic up and chromatic down. Piano correspondent, can you explain what is meant by that?
Respect the piano, please. Also, you may have noticed I am almost entirely in frame, at least my top half is, and that is because of the lovely people who have gone to buy me a coffee and made donations. It has meant that we here at Fathom Enterprises Limited Incorporated and Associates have been able to buy a proper lens that zooms like this. And that means that we don't have to place the camera like 3 meters from where we're recording. It means that we can put it right here. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about cameras. Chromaticism refers to when you play notes in sequence that are immediately next to each other, immediately adjacent, at least in Western equal temperament. It sounds like this. Hey, chromaticism. And it's like scattered liberally throughout this song. The first instance that we come across it is in the bent back tulips section, which goes so that is chromatic, played chromatically.
Thank you. It's subtle, but it's there. It's there. Our solo rises chromatically.
Maybe not a solo, it's more like a musical interlude within a musical piece of music. It's an A minor. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah! But while John Lennon is screeching melodically, the strings are ascending chromatically from here. Chromatic, much like is what we heard earlier.
We come to the point in the song where he sings, "Here's another place you can be," and follows it up with, "Listen to me." It's like John Lennon's telling us to keep up as we follow him haplessly through this playground of nonsense. Listen to me. You see what I mean? Listen to me. Cool. When we come to the end of the song, the strings are just eerily plodding along. Here we go again with that chromatic up and down motif.
This is an interesting part of the song because it borrows from this chromatic part that we had to listen to earlier. that's being played is like this very eerie, diminished thing. So it sounds more like this. So it's the same bass as looking through the bin bag tulips, except that the chords at the top are. An eerie way to end a song. Back to you.
I really think that the strings are the unsung heroes of this song. They drive the direction of the piece with this subtle momentum and this kind of jovial warmth. The song to me sounds like a good-natured joke, but I think without the strings it could potentially veer into sounding more like a cruel prank. Right, let's get into these references, these lyrics. This is where the real fun starts in the song. I would like to note that this is not the first time that the Beatles have referenced themselves in their own music. Like in the song I'm the Walrus, which had come out the year earlier, there's the line, "See how they fly like Lucy in the sky," which obviously references Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Shortly after that, Paul McCartney borrows from I Am the Walrus and uses some of the lyrics in Lady Madonna. See how they run like pigs from a gun. See how they run. Out of the gate, we are referencing our first song, Strawberry Fields. You know the place where nothing is real. We've got our lyric, but there's also a musical reference. In this song, he makes an invitation. Here's another place you can go. And the music lifts us up, as we've covered. In Strawberry Fields, by contrast, there is also an invitation. Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to. Let me take you down. But at that point, the guitar slides down. Going to. So it's a similar kind of slide. That slide up, I think, is musically referencing Strawberry Fields. So there's that reference, but also that first lyric, you know the place where nothing is real, it's not only a reference to Strawberry Fields, it's also an admission that all of this is total bullshit. It's probably one of the only genuine clues in a song full of distracting breadcrumbs. I Am the Walrus is the next song that is referenced. Here's another clue for you all. Here's a clue for you all, really breaks the fourth wall of the song in a way that I find really charming. And I also really love that the line, "the walrus was Paul," refers literally to Paul McCartney being the one who wore the walrus costume in the I Am the Walrus music video. I'm crying. We move on to Lady Madonna. Lady Madonna trying to make ends meet, yeah. This line's fun, because it's in a hurry. I think it sort of mirrors the character herself, who has more things to do than time to do them. Probably reading too much into that line. Guilty as charged. Our next reference, our second to last reference, is Fool on the Hill. And Paul digs his recorder out to reprise his role from the last time they recorded The Fool on the Hill, the original. Folks, Sir Paul McCartney. Musical genius. Possibly more poking fun at the listeners. Fools that we are. Our last reference is Fixing a Hole. Fixing a hole in the ocean. I think this might be my favorite self-reference in the entire song, because first off, it mimics the melody of Fixing a Hole. Fixing a hole in the ocean. In fixing a hole where the rain gets in. Same melody trajectory. But also it points to the meaningless of this project of trying to find meaning in the lyrics. You can't fix a hole in the ocean. It's a pointless task. And as for the absurdist imagery, the song is filled with it. Again, this isn't the first song in which John Lennon is doing this. His entire career is littered with unusual images and word games that seem to just tickle his brain. You can see it in the book In His Own Right, which came out in 1964, and which I love dearly, through I Am the Walrus, Sitting on a cornflake, Happiness is a Warm Gun, a soap impression of his wife, which he ate and donated to the National Trust, Come Together, etc. This song is no exception. This is one in the canon of absurd lyrics. Oh, Lucy in the Sky. That's another one.
Plasticine pauses with looking glass ties.
This song has lines like... Sort of reminds me of the Rolla Stoney line in... Dig a Pony's another one that has absurd lyrics. It's just like his fallback, I think. He disavowed a lot of those songs later because he thought the lyrics were pointless, but that's what we're here to talk about, right? However, the best example of imagery in the song, the central one, the titular one. Sneaky, furtive, creeping, searching. In order to gain insight into the inner sanctum of the Beatles. He's being transparent, but you peel back the layers, and there's nothing inside. But look, he's lured us in too. Here we are being just as fanatical as he's accusing. We're dissecting the minutiae of a joke song. We'd best move on. So did this deliberately vague and obfuscating song clear things up for the diehards and the zealots? Not even a little bit. Approximately a year later, a student at the University of Michigan submitted a piece of creative writing to the college paper in which he opines that Paul McCartney is actually dead. Deceased. And the superfans pointed to this line in this song to bolster their argument that Paul McCartney had been replaced by an imposter, possibly named Billy Shears, following a car accident two years earlier. For what it's worth, in response to being informed by his office that he was in fact dead, Paul McCartney responded, "Oh, I don't agree with that." Or did he? And that's it from me. If you enjoyed this episode or you would like to support any of the weird things I do, including this music video for I Am the Walrus.
I am the Eggman. They are the Eggmen. I am the walrus. Cuckoo-ca-choo.
The walrus was me. I'll leave a link in the description for my Buy Me a Coffee page, where you are most welcome to make a donation if you wish. Thank you so very much to everybody who has made a donation or signed up as a member. I appreciate you so much, and as the piano correspondent pointed out, you were the reason that she is now in frame. As mentioned, Buy Me a Coffee is also where you'll find the postcards, and, you know, get in fast if you want, because the USSR ones sold out. There's still some Prudence ones available if you would like. If you're curious about what any of my original music sounds like, I will leave a link in the description to that as well. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you here next week. Have a great weekend!
The first instance.
So one drops up.
The first